Yo, what's going on, Kicks Army? Today I'll be doing a sneaker drawing on the Nike SB Dunk Low Chunky Dunky. I will also be talking about if I'm legally allowed to sell the products that I make on my website, such as the coloring books, posters, and sticker packs. Spoiler alert, I am not. As always, in the description I will have a link to this exact coloring sheet that you can print out. And remember, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, and if you enjoy these style of videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now with all that being said, let's get it! Before we head into the drawing, I want to take a second to shout out today's sponsor, SkillShare. If you're not already familiar, SkillShare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people alike. Classes ranging from a variety of topics such as illustration, graphic design, photography, creative writing, animation, fine art, music, film, marketing, productivity, freelance, crafts, and more. I had a premium membership with SkillShare back in the day when I was studying graphic design in college, in particular to level up my Illustrator game. With any new piece of software, I always found it useful to try to learn new individual components as opposed to trying to learn the entire program on its own. One course in particular that I've watched multiple times is Aaron Draplin's Logo Design Secrets of Shape, Type, and Color. And Skillshare has classes for every skill level, whether you're a beginner, a pro, a dabbler, or a master. And stay on the lookout because your boy may have some classes there in the future. If you're a creative that wants to take your skills to the next level, I highly recommend Skillshare. It's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription, but if you check out the first link in my description, the first 1,000 people to use it will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video. Now, before we get into the main topic of today's video, let's talk about the sneaker real quick. Releasing in May of 2020, this is the Nike SB Dunk Low Chunky Dunky, which is in collaboration with the ice cream company Ben & Jerry's. The design and artwork of the colorway is meant to replicate the Chunky Monkey pint of ice cream. And they certainly did that. I mean, you got the blue skies, the green pastures, you got the white cloud in the back, and then of course you have that cow upper. And then we even got a little bit of that vanilla drip drip underneath the swoosh. If you like him, you can get him today for about $1,500. Look, I'm not in the market of buying sneakers anyway, but if I was gonna buy something, I would just assume the moment that it's sold out, I'm never gonna get it again, which is part of the fun of the game, so that's alright with me. Now for the main topic of the video, am I legally allowed to sell the products that I make? Of course not, which is also part of the fun in this. Think about it, I don't own any of the patents for any of these products, I don't own the trademarks for any of the logos, and I'm also not licensed with any of these major sneaker companies. So by every statistical factor, if you ask me, am I allowed to do this? Of course the answer is no. I am not oblivious to this. However, there are a few components to this that make this more interesting than just that. Or maybe I'm biased. I don't know, maybe it might be both. So before releasing my first coloring book, which was the Air Jordan coloring book, I tried reaching out to both Nike and Jordan brand. Neither of them got back to me, which is pretty much exactly what I expected would happen. But then I looked around and I said, okay, like what I'm doing isn't exactly something new. These concepts have been done before over and over again. Coloring books, posters, sticker packs, these have all been out in the market in some facet or another by a variety of creators. And while I've heard plenty of stories of different creators getting cease and desists from Nike, the reality is that there's still a ton of other artwork out there, so I figured, okay, for the time being, until they tell me I have to stop, I'm gonna do the same thing. But that's assuming that they even ever tell me to stop. I mean, I don't mind them getting in contact with me because I would like to have that conversation facilitated. I think what I'm doing is really interesting with the brand. Because the core of my brand is not just in the products that I sell, as that's just one extension of what I do. The core of what I actually do is provide free resources for the next great wave of footwear designers. Over the past 5 years, I've uploaded over 300 YouTube videos onto this channel that range from how to draw videos to digital illustrations and pretty much everything in between, as well as providing over 500 of these free sneaker coloring sheets for you to go ahead and print out yourself. That right there is the core of KicksArt. It's not a shop, it's a resource. Even in the description of the coloring books that I sell, I say in bold, before you buy, all of the coloring stencils in this book are available for free over on my site, KicksArt.com. And I have that placed in there for two reasons. One, I don't want someone to make an expense that they don't necessarily need to make at this time, considering everything else that's going on right now. The books are priced at 20 bucks and they're valued accordingly because I put well over 100 hours of work into each book, as well as making sure the packaging is on point when you receive it. But the other part of it is that I know a lot of people would just find more value in the free sheets than the books themselves. I probably would have found more value in the sheets than the books themselves when I initially fell in love with sneakers. So I don't have any particular preference on which version you, the consumer, would prefer to use. I'm just happy to provide quality options for both. And that's ultimately exactly what I'm banking that Nike or one of these other large sneaker brands will understand. Should they ever know that I even exist, I hope they can see exactly what it is that I'm trying to accomplish for the next great wave of designers. So in the event that nobody ever gets in contact with me, then I can just continue to do what I'm doing. I'm just gonna ramp up production more. Next year I'd like to release at least another 6 coloring books. Eventually I'm gonna get to a lot more posters as well as sticker packs. I really have too many projects to work on at the moment, but the only thing that I really need is time, and thankfully there's gonna be plenty of that in the future. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, of course they could go and send me a cease and desist through an email. They can just tell me to stop in whichever method they choose to contact me in. And if that day is going to come, then that day is going to come. There's nothing I can do to kind of prevent that from happening. I'm not gonna try to, conceal my brand in any way when I make it very public on multiple different social media platforms that I exist. It's like I'm not trying to hide exactly what it is that I'm doing here. In which case, if they were ever to reach out to me, I would simply reach out back, hello, so-and-so, thank you so much for contacting me. I love the company that you guys are doing with, and then I would just give them an example of all the different things that I do with my brand, and hopefully that would facilitate a conversation that would lead to partnership. Or that doesn't work out, they're not interested, they tell me to stop, and I gotta stop. And you know what? That's okay. I can still continue to pump out videos, I can do other things to generate revenue, so it's not like the brand would die. I would just have to cancel that particular portion of it. And even then, they can tell me to not make the coloring books or whatever, and I still have all the free stencils available on my website that's not going to be taken down, as well as I have other poster designs that I can work on that aren't based on sneakers, such as the Kobe poster that I did. But then the other alternative option is that they find out I exist, whether it be Nike, Adidas, Jordan Brand, whoever, they see what I'm doing and they're actually interested in working with me. And that's the likely path that I genuinely can see happening in the future. I'm not sure with which brand, but I genuinely believe that's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. These sneaker brands work with influencers all the time, so it's not like a collaboration and this part would be new. And again, maybe that's just wishful thinking. Maybe I'm thinking too highly of these brands that they would ever work with lowly creators such as myself. And then if I have to stop selling sneaker related products altogether, that's okay. I can do other things with the brand that don't require that specific form of revenue. Now, I don't mind doing that right now because I believe all the products that I create are some of the highest quality ones that you're gonna see. And that's in part because everything that I've made for the brand, when it comes to the coloring books, the posters, and sticker packs, these are all things that I would have wanted for myself. When I made the coloring book, I made the ultimate coloring book that I would have wanted back when I first fell in love with sneakers. The posters that I create are designed to my taste and style that I find interesting. The stickers I tried making as simple and clean as possible while having a decent amount of detail. And as time rolls on, especially next year, I hope to really ramp up all the products I've created, as I've only really started doing this back in May. The whole brand of KicksArt itself is like an ongoing story because in any moment I can receive that email from Nike or from Adidas saying stop, and then I'll have to make a huge change. But every day that doesn't happen, I can continue to keep moving forward, create new products, and really test myself. And sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. But I am trying to play this a little bit smart though, and that's in part why I'm not currently offering vector files for the stencils that I create. Because right now all my stencils are essentially JPEG images, so you can print them out, but you can't exactly modify them using a vector software. Unless you of course go ahead and outline everything, but that can have mixed results depending on the software that you're using. But I feel like if I were to create these EPS or Illustrator type file formats for these stencils that I create, it would be too much of a handout to say, hey, here's these, EPS files of the different logos for these sneakers. Which I feel may be potentially more enticing for these brands to tell me to stop as opposed to what I'm currently doing, which is the JPEG images that I have. That may be a moot point, but it's some of the things that I think about. However, if one of these brands were to ever come in contact with me for whatever reason and tell me to either cease and desist or continue to working with them, of course I will keep you all updated as I figure out what's going on. Because if I can continue to do this for another 5 years, heck, 3 years, even 6 months, that would be unbelievable, and I'd be so happy to do it. So make sure you subscribe and follow me on the socials to always stay updated with the brand. But that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button. Stay safe, wash your hands, be kind to others, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!